Hi everybody and welcome to Tech Tip Tuesday. And today is the 5th Tuesday, so it's Guitar Tuesday. And I'm really excited to dive into some guitar topics and help you figure out how to repair your instruments so you can get back to teaching instead of repairing your instruments. So if you are not here with me live, you're just watching this on YouTube, go over to repairmasterclass.com, scroll on down the homepage to join me live on Tuesdays and get the link to be here, because what's going to happen is I'm going to go over a really quick tip here today, and then we're going to spend some time answering all the questions that people have live on the Zoom link. So if you're not here for that, get here. Just go over to repairmasterclass.com and figure out how to come join me by clicking on that link that says join me live. So for everybody else, hang tight real quick. We're going to get to your questions in just a moment. I'm just going to show you a couple things here real fast, and then we'll go to answer all your questions. All right, the first thing I want to talk about today is just a little bit of gear to make repairing your guitars a whole lot easier. If you're like me and did this for a while, you were doing a lot of modifications of your instruments with everything sitting right on the bench. There's one piece of equipment that I want to show you that is this guy right here. This is from Planet Waves. This is just a guitar headstock holder, and it's really nice. It has a couple legs like this that claps together, and this thing folds up like this, and it stores in your case really well. And when you're ready for it, pull it out, flip it open, and grab your headstock and set it up like this, and it makes a really stable platform for your guitar. This is not a paid or a sponsored link. This is just some of the stuff that I use. The other thing that we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the nut and how to modify and worry about things on the nut. And for that, I'm going to use two different files. One's going to be just a flat bastard file like this that actually has cutting teeth on this side, but no cutting teeth on this side either. And what we're going to do later is we're going to stick that up against the fingerboard, and I'll show you how to do that, but I don't want the cutting teeth on one side, so I'm not damaging the instrument. The other thing I'm going to use, and again, not sponsored, but it's what we use in the shop. I use these files from StewMac. They come in a whole set of them, and they come in various sizes. So for instance, the set it has, like this is a 32 and this is a 56. They come in different sizes for the different gauges of strings. So like your low strings are thicker and bigger around than your small strings, and so consequently the grooves in the nut are different sizes as well. So those are two really great tools to use and have in your shop or having at your disposal to do these repairs. Now what I want to look at today is how do I get you back into the classroom faster by spending less time, or let me rephrase, how do I keep you in the classroom instead of spending time replacing strings? And one of the biggest culprits for breaking strings is the nut on your guitar. If it's shaped square, if there's any sort of angle in that, and it's usually at the back edge. So if we look at the back edge of this guitar, so up where the headstock is, we've got the fingerboard comes across here, our string comes across, and when it comes through the knot, it's going to have to make an angle change to come down into the peg heads, the machine heads. And if that angle is at all angled, if it has a notch in it at all where we can see a defined angle change, then you're going to be breaking strings, because as we're tuning that string and pulling it across this big angle, that's a lot of pressure put in one really small spot. Instead, what I want is a really nice round flowing sort of shape to it. I want it to be really round, kind of like a waterfall will come and roll off the edge and not just come and make a 90-degree turn. I want it to flow off the back of that nut. That way it flows into the peg box, and your string can actually slide across that and doesn't have any built-up pressure anywhere. So let's show you how we make that modification. So if we come in here, what I'm worried about is I'm worried about this edge of the nut. I actually don't want to touch or go down at all with the front edge of the nut, because the front edge of these nut grooves determines how high the string's set up over top of the fret. So if we've got a string height angle here, and I've got a certain amount of space in underneath that first fret, that allows me to finger the string and not create any buzzes. But if I lower that first part, I can actually come in and make contact with that first fret. So I want to stay off of this side and only worry about this side of the nut. And we're going to do that with these small files here, these StuMac files, and these guys have cutting edges only on the edge here and nothing on this wide side. It's flat on that side. So one of the things I'm going to be worried about is I'm going to be coming in here and making curves and angles with my file down toward the headstock. So what I do is just take a couple pieces of tape and block that really well with the camera. And I'm just going to lay 2 pieces of tape across here to protect my headstock. That way when I'm coming in at an angle, if I do, I bump up against the tape and not the actual wood and make a notch. So let's take this guy right here. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to just start taking a little bit of material off of this. And you notice how I'm only cutting one direction. Files only cut one way. They don't cut both. They may burnish or smooth things out on the backside, but I want to take material off right now. So I'm just going to work this way. And notice how I'm starting here and I end up here. So I'm actually trying to carve that edge in by picking up the back end of the file a little bit as I go through it. I'm not looking for much here, but I want to take that edge off of the back side there. Now this one here, I'm going to go up a size of file. No, I'm not. Here we go. So you can see we're not using very large strokes. This does not take very long. But I can see that there's a more rounded edge in that, and the back edge of this isn't coming off at a sharp angle. And that is going to keep you in the classroom teaching instead of, oh, that's tight. Whoever cut this file, not the first time, used one file almost the whole way through. That's not cool. But they're ginormous, so it'll probably work. And we continue that all the way across. Now if you do this, it's not going to take very long per guitar. And it's going to ensure that you break a lot less strings, which is going to give you a ton of time back in the classroom instead of dealing with students who don't have strings on, or you having to fix strings in the middle of class or afterwards when you're supposed to be home taking care of your kids, or whatever the case may be. I want you in class teaching instead of repairing. And if over the summer or over a break, or you take one home at night and just do this repair on your school guitars, you're going to save yourself so much time. All right, the other thing I want to worry about is on this nut, on this side, on the fingerboard side of the nut, and not this side, there's some little tangs. So when these guys were cutting this nut slot, they cut straight into it, and they left a lot of material off of the edge of it over here. That's where I'm going to use this large file that has nothing on the edge here. I'm going to come into it like this. I'm going to come up just against this side and kiss this and try to make sure that this is nice and flat against the nut and not rolled over like this. I want to make sure that's nice and flat there. I'm just going to take a couple strokes on that and take that material off the front there to clean that edge up so I don't have any burrs sticking out, so when that string comes through it's trying to catch on that string and again break the string. So there's 2 really quick things. Clean up the front edge here and clean up and round that back edge so your string will actually flow into the peg box. If you do those 2 really simple repairs on your guitar, you're going to break a lot less strings. All right, guys, like I said, go over to repairmasterclass.com, scroll on down to the live tech tip spot and get the link. That way you can be here for me for this next part where I'm going to answer all the questions that are live on Zoom right now. So for YouTube, I'll talk to you guys later. Next Tuesday, we always come back live for a tech tip every single Tuesday. So I'll see you next week. For everybody else, I'll be to your questions here in just a second. See you soon, guys.